How you doing? My name's Steve Reagan, CSO Online. I'm here in the Speakers Lounge with Wolfgang Goerlich, the Wolf.
Hello.
Naturally, I came in. He was eating. He was hungry. Get it? Hungry like the wolf. So he gave a talk today at CircleCityCon, and I wanted to touch base with you about that. It had something to do with medicals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little about that.
So I've given two talks here, and the talk I gave today was a pretty interesting concept. You know, I'm always looking for ways to get innovation, and you can't really innovate in your own field because we're all talking to each other. So one of the best ways to innovate is to go outside your field. So last year at this conference, Dr. Hume gave a talk about how we should look at doctors as a model for information security, which makes sense. Because like in information security, the patient lives by doing what the doctor says, right? Mm-hmm. We are secured by the end user, the IT guy, the admin, the purchaser, who you name it, doing what we say. And doctors and IT people, IT security people, we have our own lingo. We don't make sense. We're brisk. We rush in, and things get lost in translation. So I did a joint talk with Stephanie Schaefer-Pond, and what she does, she's a consultant that teaches doctors how to get better engagement, how to show empathy, how to listen, how to do all the great things that we completely fail at as security professionals. So we did a great back and forth where she shared her training, and then I related it all back into IT security.
Excellent, excellent. See, that was the talk I missed. I'd heard about it. The other one you did this year is Food Fight, and that correlates with a lot of work you've been doing lately with bringing newer people into the industry, the junior.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me about that.
So what Food Fight was is the results of 15 separate engagements we did looking at food manufacturing. Excuse me. And when I think food, I think like the farmer, right? The local guy who's growing produce. But food is really like this massive industry. It consumes 10% of the fresh water in America. It uses the same amount of power in North America that Utah uses in a year.
Really?
It just sucks up all this power. So all the same technology you find in water plants and power plants and manufacturing is in these food processors. And they still got that sort of rugged individual, that farmer mentality, right? So you got aging ICS, industrial control systems, you got aging technology, you got all this manufacturing base. And so what I did was I described the problem and described a way that you can evaluate and look for these things. And also took it back one layer, so if you do have ICS in your own environment, if you do have operational technology, you can follow these same steps. Now part of it was, a lot of the work actually was done by CBI Academy, which is something I lead. As the Director of Strategy for CBI, I get these small teams of anywhere from 4 to 12 every 3 months as part of a 2-year apprenticeship program. So they start off with me, and I work them to death. And in this engagement, I'm like, here's all the ICS stuff. Pull the release notes. Pull the documentation. You know, look at what's found on the internet. Do some OSINT. Pull all that information together, and then start looking for patterns and ways that we can advise our clients on what we're finding.
So when you bring the, for lack of a better term, the rookies into the picture, what are some of the struggles they immediately? What are some of their immediate challenges they have to overcome?
One of the guys calls it controlled anxiety, which I love it. Right, focused anxiety, because you get in and there's like everything we need to know, right? And you think about information security, it's huge and it's wide, and ICS is everything. There's cables and there's protocols and there's firmwares and everything, and there's just too much. So the first thing is feeling overwhelmed. Second thing is feeling imposter syndrome. Well, wait a minute. I'm in here and I don't know how to program, but the other guy in the teammate is a great programmer. And I don't really know networking. That guy is fantastic at Wireshark and reading. Do I even belong here? Do I even have a role? So imposter syndrome. And then as they struggle with both of those, stress management, right? We hear all the time about burnout, but it's even more prevalent in the first 6 months with people entering this field, which is why we have such high levels of churn, especially with the rookies as you described. And then the fourth and final component is, how do I just start? How do I build relationships? How do I get in the community? How to go to conferences like Circle City? How do I read magazines like CSO? Where do I go to build those relationships and foster and maintain them over the longer time?
And I noticed in all of those points, you have not mentioned or referenced or even hinted at education or skill. So is it a matter of, it doesn't matter your education, background, or skill, it's how we develop it and use it?
Absolutely. I think it does. I mean, you have to have, it's table stakes, right? Do you need to be intelligent? Yes. Do you need to know how to use a computer? Yes, that helps. Do you need to have the aptitude and the passion for it? Absolutely. or they wouldn't even get to these programs. This last team, my next team actually starts on Monday. I'm really excited. We had over 300 applicants to get down to a team of 10.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of making sure you got the right personality and everything. But once you got the right person and the right intelligence and the right passion, all that fades away. And what it is how can I build those people skills, and how can I absorb the technology and figure out how to apply it?
So when you build your teams and you put them in order, are you taking people with certain groups of skills and making sure they can round out the environment around you, or is there another way to build the team that you're
I think that's a good way to put it. I want a well-rounded team. And one of the things I think oftentimes gets overlooked is when we hear mentor, we think of some guy up there who shall bestow knowledge.
Yeah. Let me grant upon you the knowledge of a packet cat.
Here, you shall have it. But what I'd rather have is, again, a real strong networking guy, a real good programmer, a real good people person, a real good project manager who can all start to say, oh, yeah, I can help you with that. Oh, yeah, here's what I already know. And you build, and why I do these as teams, is you build these team bonds where they start training and mentoring and sharing with each other, and that makes everything so much easier.
How important is it for them to have programming skills when they come into a security job?
I think it's important that at least some people in a team do, maybe not everybody. For a number of reasons. One, all our tools, right, automation is key. And so many of the tools are written in programs and are automated and whatnot. Second is a lot of the work I do, looking back at Food Fight or whatnot, or even with the Playing Doctor talk, is talk to developers and figure out where those vulnerabilities are. If you don't at least know how to program, no one's going to listen to you. You're going to turn your audience off right away, right? Because you're that guy.
Yeah, okay.
So that's important.
With the programming thing, then, is there any one particular language that is better than the others that your students have found out, or is it a hodgepodge of know a little about everything?
I think if you just know the prospects, or rather the procedures of developing, you're in a good spot. Is there any one good language? That's going to vary, and it depends on who you ask. So right now, Python's hot, right? So all the new security tools are written in Python. But 5 years ago it was Perl, right? Yeah. And so it's very cyclical. A lot of our customers write Java, right? It's a Java shop. Yeah, I'm writing for the Android platform. It's in Java. So it's going to vary. I'm really, whatever they have, I think we can kind of work with.
When you did the assessments for the different food, what kind, I guess I'm still trying to comprehend, like, how production environments work for food production, like how big they are. What were some of the problems they were having? I mean, are these machines like vulnerable to attacks, so somebody would shut down a production line, no more Cheetos for us?
Well, here's the thing. We're recording, right? And you probably have a phone. If you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for your phone?
It was like $299 plus a 2-year contract.
Okay, so a few $100. Yeah. And how long are you going to run it? 2 years, you say?
2 years.
And then you're done, right? You don't need to maintain that for a long period of time. It's
not after 2 years.
A lot of these ICS things start at like $1 to $10 million. And once they're installed, they have to run them for 15, 30 years to recoup that investment.
So it's like medical. They buy a medical device in the 80s that's considered state-of-the-art these
like
days.
Medical. We did some analysis, and 40% of the equipment was 10 to 15 years old. And another 40% of the equipment is 15 years and older.
Oh, wow.
And so there was this big boom in manufacturing about 15 years ago, right? And think of all the technology that's out there. There's a lot of Windows XP. And they bought it, they installed it, and now they're not going to patch it, because if they damage it, now they've damaged $10 million worth of equipment, and they've slowed down the line, and they can't process the meat, and the plant doesn't get its cow, and everything's bad.
I was going to say, it sounds like a cascading effect.
It absolutely does, yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So a lot of it's this old technology. A lot of it's the fact that it's dependent on Windows XP. A lot of it is, going back to the developer conversation, mom and pop company wrote this one single application that handles tracking, pig feet, because everyone likes pig feet. And there are 3 guys and an intern, right, who wrote this. And now maybe they went out of business, or maybe they don't. They're still around, but they're just like still selling licenses. And now you're trying to have a conversation with them, like they're Symantec or Microsoft or any of the big boys, to say, we found a vulnerability. And they're like, I don't even know what you mean. What is XSS? And they have no idea. So a lot of it is, if you think of vulnerability density, the highest vulnerability density is in small teams and small companies, because they don't have robust processes. But yet these small teams and small companies are the exact same ones that are providing all these point products endpoint applications that run across the food line.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sitting down and talking to me
Yeah,
today.
thank you so much.
It's always good seeing you.
Always a
man.
pleasure.